see, you're not going to have God in your life until you want him. It's like Marshall giving the kids a lift. They don't want Marshall. They want whatever they want. They don't want Dad, you see. Not really. They just know they want what they want. And they won't hear you until they want to hear you. You know, there's no way I was hearing God until filled with love and joy and thanks, but to who I wanted God to exist so I could thank him. What's happened to Marshall that I should want God to exist? Wow, what's happened to me? Do you see? Otherwise, it's the world can't understand you. You have to wait until they're crying out for you. Then they will hear. And you come to them in their distress. Saving grace of God, you see. And you'll be a blessing. But till then, wow, you just wait. How many ions of life does God wait for you? I don't know. Don't know. But he's infinite, you see. And in the end you realize nothing else would do. Nothing else would do. My soul longs for you. Well, you have him, don't you? You value God. And you can't be in heaven without that. Else you'd be a menace there, you see, just a trouble. And you wouldn't be happy, of course. You'd be like my little chap behind me in the car each day, I mean, grumbling and moaning about all the goodness that he has in his life. My goodness, what a state we're in. Before the hour that we believe. And we don't realize it, of course. We have no idea. We just gradually wonder and wonder why things are not fitting. Because you don't know God. That's why. I was blind, but now I see. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound to save a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. John Bunyon, imprisoned for his faith, poor chap, hundreds of years ago. Poor chap. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Well, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first began. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Ah, you'd missed the point, Marshall. Amazing grace is not asking for anything, is it? It's purely thankfulness, praise of God and thanks to God for saving him. Thanks for the grace of God. When did he write this song? Did he write it when he was in prison or when he was out? Well, I can tell you, even if he was out, he was still in the world, which was a mix of good and bad. You know, some people like you, some people don't. Some people are good to you, some people are harmful. If he was in prison, we can think of it as the state being harmful, or the religion of the day being harmful to him, the people. Is he praying against all the harm that he experiences? No. He's thanking God for what he values, and he values coming to know God. Still you miss yet another point, Marshall. It's not that he has to choose to have faith in God to do it. It's that he has to be appreciative of something good in his life, for the thankfulness in him that's then generated by such, that makes him want to trust in God, want to believe God exists and that it's God's good grace that's given him. What in this case? To be experiencing, receiving as from a wonderful God, the gratitude that he feels. In other words, I'm pleased about so-and-so happening, whatever. Nice day, food, rescuing something, being healed, being better. I was ill and now I'm better. You know, the body's healed itself. And I want, as a consequence of this appreciation, God to exist as author of this good cause. In other words, that I want this good that's happened to me to be the consequence of a person I can love and respond and value and care for as a consequence of this relief and joy that I now feel at whatever's I perceive as being good for me. And when I choose, as a consequence, to believe instead of not believing in the existence of such a person, I then feel such love for that person, such good intent to help and to bless them, to be part of their wonderfulness. that I'm overcome with joy now. In other words, whatever the good fortune was, say I'm alive and I'm enjoying the fresh air. I mean, it's very simple, the countryside, say, or even that mum's being kind to me at the minute, or dad is providing so-and-so. Because I'm so happy about this event, I either ascribe it to them, because it's clearly them that have given it to me, or it's an event of nature where there is no person, but I want to personify the situation that I can express my thanks. And the thanks generates the desire in me to trust that they exist, to thank. And the more I trust that they exist, the more thankful I am to them, and the more I love them. Them being singular, God. And the more I'm in relationship with them, the more I can cope with even difficult times. And I love them for that now as well. I'm benefiting from loving what I've personified as someone that, personifies all my values. He values my welfare. Wow. I'm convinced he values my welfare. So I'm convinced of my oneness with him. See, that John Bunyon Amazing Grace example is not a requesting prayer. It's a hymn of praise and thanks, not of request. So very simply in review, overwhelming gratitude, overwhelming joy at something triggers me to want it to be of a person, and of a person that has my values, therefore, because he's provided something that I appreciate. And I start to want to love God. If, of course, I see it as a consequence of a person, say, mum, who's, making me feel warm and comfortable, and we're doing something I enjoy doing together, then my devotion starts to be to mum. It's already to a person who is expressing my values, until she does something like smack me for, in the old days, say, for not doing so-and-so, or say, well, no, you're going to not have so-and-so because you've been a bad boy. Now you go to your room. You're not coming down for half an hour. And when I say, then you can come down again. Now, of course, after a quarter of an hour, she may say, come down now. It's not half an hour, but if you're going to be a good boy, and you're so relieved you love mum for letting you come down, you're starting to value her again, you see. but it's all about mum. Now, much of what happens to you good in the world is not about mum. You know, you're just a success. People have helped you, yes, but they've come and gone. And you want to be, you're happy about your success. You know, I don't know, say a nice standard of living or a wife, and, you know, things are going okay. The children are not in desperate plight. So you're feeling content and happy. You can't thank anyone in particular for, say, good health, but you want to. So you want God to exist to thank him. And the God you suppose is the God that has your values because he's kind to you in doing this. Do you see the chain of causation now? It's thankfulness for the good that comes to you, not particularly identified of a certain person, because then you would be friends with them or love them, like the wife, the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, you know. Best friend at school, whoever that is. Best teacher even, because this teacher's better than the others. But for the happiness that you can't pin down to a person, you may want to express thanks to that person and love of that person. But it's not a person, so you might have the notion to trust that it is a person, it's just that you can't see them. They're behind the scenes. And you want to thank them, and of course the character you give them is perfect from your point of view. In other words, they personify what you value. And you grow to love them, and as you grow to love them, well, this fuzzy effect and your hopes and your trust of them gives you hope of the future and so on. You start to transcend all other relationships with this persona that you're imagining. You then find certain things still go wrong, and you think, oh, what am I not understanding here? And you rejudge, you know, your values. Oh, I shouldn't have done so and so after all. It gives you heart trouble, or, you know, whatever it is. And you adjust your values accordingly. Therefore, my God does not want me to eat so and so, or get angry, or whatever it is that's causing the health problem as you see it. You put that right, you do get better, and you thank God for having told you and shown you the way, and you've adjusted your values, which means your view of God has also changed to these values. So he doesn't want you to eat the wrong things or get angry, and you live accordingly. And it's thanks to God that you're doing it, you see. So your life here becomes much improved as you're devoted to your God. But your God, you see, must be a personification of your values. Else, if your God doesn't change, then you start to find the God is anti-you. You're not getting angry and so on, but God's not on your side on this issue. Well, you'd stop loving God. So on the contrary, you ascribe all good to him that you find, including adjustments to your values, and you adjust his values accordingly. Your view of his values, you see. Is this a zero gain or an infinite gain? I think it's a majorly positive gain anyway. Because the good I keep seeing in my God increases my love and trust in him, so I now trust him increasingly to get me through difficulties. There is hope. Hope against every difficulty and towards every perceived gain. This brings great happiness and greater love, which gives more hope. So faith, hope, and love feed each other in an escalating life experience. And as this gathers momentum, the joy of such is the transcendence, the peace and the joy which comes from the hope, which comes from noticing the good, and the love and devotion to him which trusts that there is more and more good all coming from him, gives more and more hope, more and more trust, more and more gratitude. So thanks is the path because it leads you to dwell on the peace and the joy you gain from the, whatever the thing you're thankful is, whatever you're thankful for, which builds the hope, which builds the love, which builds the trust, which builds you to trust even in the difficulties. There is hope, and it carries you through, and peace because of this relationship with him, this trust that you've engendered in your practice of thankfulness in the past. So you build up this ever-increasing good view of God that gives you the trust, that gives you the hope, that carries you through, constantly helps you to cope and make life even better. It's something of this, isn't it? Thank you, Heavenly Dad.